Good evening. We're making a transition from our church service to a school webcast, and so we've sent this out and told you that we want to just give you some information to update things a little bit. Let me put something up to start with. If you need to send a question to us, you can send it to school.office@keystonebaptist.org, and we'll try to check those as they're coming in. And if it's something that pertains to the entire group, we'll answer it. If it's something we can get back to you with, we'll just do that. And so school.office@keystonebaptist.org, you can send questions to that. Let me go through a couple of things. We're not going to be long tonight, but I want to mention a couple of things. Then Pastor Rogers is going to go over some of the details of what we're going to do. But we are currently under the authority of the powers that be. We have to balance three things. I mentioned this at the beginning of our service tonight, and I'm not sure that most people heard it, but we have to balance our responsibility to obey God, our responsibility to obey civil government, to be in subjection to that, and then we have to make sure that we are careful with the health of our church and school family. And with the school, we don't have a biblical mandate to have school every day. We actually have that mandate from the state, and they have suspended it. And so we're kind of under a little bit of their auspices just from some of the things that we've done in the past. And so states have the power to protect the health, welfare, and safety of their citizens. And so based upon what they see, they've decided that it's best to close the schools, and our governor has said that he wants to close them through the end of the year. Now, regardless of what I think about that, we're not going to go into that tonight. We don't agree necessarily with that. We wish he would have taken much smaller steps with that, but that is something that's in place now, and we're going to abide by that, and then we'll give you additional information as it comes available. I'm hoping at some point that the ban on 10 people will be lifted, and when that happens, then we'll be able to get some groups or classes together and be able to do some things, although we can't have school in its full measure, but we will be able to do some things with them. We've mentioned another statement several times, and that is that we're in school, we're just not at school. And so we want you to be reminded of that even though we are not physically at school, the staff, I've said this to them, and I'll say this to you as students and parents, we're still in school. And so regardless of whether you're physically in the building or not, we are looking at this as something that's still taking place. So far, the response has been really good. We've heard from parents, and we've tried to stay in contact with you. We want to continue the educational process. Pastor Rogers is going to go through some of the goals here in just a minute. But remember that this is not a break for our teachers. As a matter of fact, I said that to the teachers the other day. And I said, I'm assuming this is not a break for you, and they were all in agreement. This is not a break for them. They have more to do. It's in some ways a heavier workload, and it's somewhat more stressful for them because they have to gather material from every distant place, not just from their classroom. And so the students seem to be doing as well as we could expect. We're actually happy with where we are, but we do want feedback from you as parents. And so if you have something that you want us to know, feel free to call or email us, and we would love to hear from you. One other thing is that we have to maintain our integrity, and that is, as a school, we want to make sure that we get the work done and we do it well. Make sure that it is the student doing the work. Don't do the work for your young person. That doesn't help them, and that takes away the integrity of the classwork. And I will tell you that the teachers know when you do that. And so make sure that you help your young person learn, not do it for them. Last thing I'll cover is the academy finances. We are continuing to pay our academy and preschool staff. We're not sure with preschool staff how much we're going to be able to do, but I greatly appreciate some of you who have just very graciously given. We had somebody make a donation, a good donation to the Academy, and we really appreciate your kindness. And basically, if you're getting paid, we still would like for you to pay your school bill. If you're struggling, make sure you contact us. We've always had that policy that if you need to talk to us, let us know. But we have our teachers working. We're going to try to get our students through the year, and so you'll continue to get communications from our office on these things as well. I'm going to turn it over to Pastor Rogers and let him go through some things, and then if you have some questions at the end, we'll try to address those.
All right, thank you, Pastor Wright. And so this is definitely a new situation. The school has never done, no school that we know of has ever had to go through something like this. Then just a lot of things that have changed. And we do know that there are some areas around the country, even Loudoun County, that are instituting no new information, no new programs, no new learning policies. When the governor released the statement earlier this week on Monday that they're closing school for the rest of the year, the superintendent of Virginia put out, and the paperwork that they said, and we've reviewed it and figured out what they was talking about there, that it is up to the individual school districts, and then for the private side of things, individual schools to decide how they will finish out the year. But there is an expectation that the students will be able to graduate with the learning they have. So with that, we are going to continue doing something very similar to what we have the past week and a half. We'll develop packets or just information that'll be able to be picked up and dropped off at the school building. We've done it in the foyer of the main building. We've done it in the small room at the end of the hallway. Both of those seem to work, but with the packets, we are going to continue to do that, as I said. And sometimes teachers will send home hard copies or handouts, and you guys have been doing a great job of sending pictures of those in, and that's been very helpful. But we will, for the majority of those handouts, need the hard copies back. And the reason is, even as wonderful as sending pictures to the teachers is, there are sometimes it's just not able to be read because of how the picture was taken or how it was digitally transmitted, or even just the student's handwriting. So some of those papers, and the teachers will indicate which ones, we will need those back. And so we're trying to figure out what would be the best way to do that. Well, what we're going to do is on Fridays from 12 to 3, we will have the packets available for pickup of the next week's work, and then we will also have the packets that you have or any work from that previous week dropped off there. And sometimes that may be the activities manuals for the students in the upper grades or the different handouts that they have there. And some of the teachers are going to adjust the workload that they have there. Some will break it down to 4 days a week. Others may increase it a little bit just depending on the class and how much the students are needing the instruction there. And so we are working with that. Please, if you have a struggle, a difficulty, we've had several parents already do this, please contact us. We are doing our best to keep the education going. Again, the superintendent of Virginia said, educate them as best you can. And so that's what we're trying to do. And so we want you as parents to help teach them where you can and help figure that out. Don't just have them fill out the handouts and get it wrong. That doesn't help the student now, and it won't help them next year when things get back to normal. But again, as Pastor Wright said, don't do the work for them. It's pretty obvious at times the teachers have learned students' handwriting techniques, and when a parent fills out a paper for the student, please don't do that. If you're struggling, if you can't get it done in time, talk to the teachers, and they will do their best to work with you to help the students there. But again, just communicate with the teachers. That's the biggest thing that'll help us keep things moving along. Several of the teachers will be using things like FaceTime. There is a platform for live interactive classrooms called Zoom that we've instituted or utilized several times as for staff meetings and some classes that may be used there. We may use something similar for a junior and senior high chapel, possibly there. With Zoom, how that works, which I think most of the teachers will be using, you will get a link. You simply we'll get that link emailed to you. Click on the link. It'll ask you to open in an app or and if you're doing it on a computer, it'll actually open on the web page there. Allow it to do that so we can have those classrooms, just that face-to-face instruction, which is a lot more useful there. One of our goals here, and the superintendent has the goal as well, is that the education continues, that the learning keeps going. And I think we've done a great job of that so far this last week and a half. And the teachers have done a phenomenal job, but a lot of the credit also goes to you all as parents. And I want to thank you for your work. Thank you for your understanding of this new situation. And we're trying to do the best we can to help you guys with that. And we're thankful for you guys helping us as well with what's going out there. Normally in a school year, there are a specific number of teaching hours or a specific number of days that the Virginia Department of Education has that have to be met. Those have been suspended this year. They're in the public schools. They're not having those. They're not having the SOLs at the end of the year. A lot of things have changed, and that applies to us in certain areas as well. We are not going to be doing the achievement testing this year simply because we can't get the groups of students together. It just wouldn't work. Not only that, but with the amount of learning that we will be doing, the superintendent says keep the learning going as best you can. So that's our goal there. And the goal for the Department of Education and our goal is to educate the students at the point where they will graduate to the next level and be successful in that grade. And that's our goal there. And so the next several weeks will be very important for that, for the students there, for the teachers, for the parents to work with that. As far as the academy schedule goes, we're looking towards that. All outside activities have either been postponed or canceled. Unfortunately, the ODAX Fine Arts Competition, the regional competition, has been canceled for the year. We did send in the testing and fine arts categories to be graded and tested, so we will see who does that across the state and does well there, but all others have unfortunately been canceled. The track meet and the field day have been canceled, and just things there, just working with the governor's issue and proclamation that went to both private and public schools. Those have been canceled there. And there are a few things on the schedule we are trying to do. If you listen to the President Trump's different news, press releases that they're doing, the town hall, their goal is to lift the ban of 10 people within 30 days. That's their goal. And so as of right now, that means we would be able to have our graduation ceremonies, our junior and senior high sports formal, and different things there. We are hopeful to have those. As of right now. But again, this is a fluid situation. Things may change there. And if we may, for the graduation ceremonies, we may do something similar, although adjust things accordingly as we need to there. We will have, as the group of 10, the ban is lifted, we may have some classes meet here. We know our yearbook staff will have to have a couple of meetings that they're doing there. And we can have meetings of students. We simply cannot have formal school at this point. That would be disobeying what the governor does there. And as a ministry of Keystone Baptist Church, the school is, as Pastor Wright mentioned, not ordained. We're not required by the Bible to have a Christian school, so we're doing the best we can to work with the civil authorities there. We do have a couple of things, though, and that is the lockers. With the school being closed down for the rest of the quarter, we do need students to come and clean out their lockers all across there, also their desks and things like that. I'm going to send out an email we will send out an email to the parents of a schedule for that, because we do need them cleaned out, but we don't want too many people here, just trying to be careful of the groups of 10. And so we'll have a schedule there, a group of time that you guys as groups can come to clean out those lockers, take your books and things home with that there. Also, this webinar here will be put on the Facebook page after we get it formatted for that. So if anybody has missed it, or if anybody has questions, want to go back to look at that, this is being recorded and will be posted to that page. At this point, if there are any questions that have been submitted, we're going to go ahead and answer those, and then we'll finish up the webinar. So any questions?
We only have one question, and I do know that we lost some people in there. One of our programs cut us off, I think, but we may be back on. We'll see. But the whole thing will be on the Facebook page. The only question that I have is, can we send scanned documents in PDF or JPEG format instead of taking pictures? And yes, you can. You can send PDF, JPEG, you can scan them and send them, or take a picture. Any of those are fine. The reason, as Pastor Rogers said, that we need some of the papers returned is for two things. Sometimes you just can't quite pick up the writing, the pencil marks are too light, and then also the teachers were concerned that they're not able to give some feedback as easily with pictures. And so there will be some homework that needs to be turned in, that we actually need to have a hard copy of that, and the teachers will let you know what that is. But yes, you can turn it in any format that's normal, and we can probably open that with no problem. And that's the only question I have on the email. If you have a question, feel free to email us, and we'll get back to you about it. And otherwise, we're looking forward to it. I always tell people it's an adventure, and it's something that our young people will remember. None of us have ever gotten to do this. And so it's something that'll be a unique thing in 2020, and we'll see how it goes. But we appreciate your help, and we appreciate your patience and just you being involved with us and trying to help the students finish the year. And hopefully we'll stay on schedule. I think I zoned out. Did you mention that we will have the Easter break?
I did not. We are planning on having no assignments giving during Easter break. So if you had plans already scheduled for that didn't get canceled because of different things and the self-quarantine, the social distancing, those will still be available there. We are not going to be assigning any assignments over the Easter break, what was normally on the schedule. I did not mention that.
Okay. All right. I think that's all we have. And again, if you have questions, let us know, and we'll see you next time.